Yeah! Here we go!
It's time for TSS Fantasy.
It is Commissioner Cooper.
Hold on. That's a big balls move. Do you want your title?
Happy Sunday, happy early morning trash football game.
Yes! We're back, baby! Let's go!
Feud with Aaron Rodgers. I almost got banned off TikTok for the thing that.
So repaired MCL sprain on his knee. He has had some nagging hamstring issues over the years.
D. Lots of fun words start with D. Like bye weeks.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy. And well, look, we got a comment already. Gotta love it. AB Media salute from Indianapolis. Ooh, the Colts fans are out today. Anyway, so we don't have the normal crew in the house, but I have a special guest tonight. It's our boy. If you're familiar with TSS Fantasy, you know DJ. He's been on a bunch of times. But tonight, it's a special night because he's coming to break down Week 7 for you. Welcome into the studio, DJ from the High Low Sports Podcast. Welcome in, my friend.
Glad to be back. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you, talk a little about what's going on. Love that we already got an Indianapolis comment, too. They surprised me, and because I opened my mouth as a Colts fan saying they wouldn't win the division if they continue at this pace, I'm going to have to run a marathon because I said if they make the playoffs, I'll run a marathon. And looks like I better start moving because it's not looking good for my immune system.
Yeah, get your training in, my friend, because they are looking strong right now. That's for sure. All right, let's pay the bills real quick. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid. Give us a subscribe, hit like, throw your fantasy questions in there. All those little things and whatever the hell else you do on YouTube. Little things stopping you from doing it. Big things popping for us when you do. So, of course, we appreciate you. If you're looking for daily fantasy for this upcoming weekend, look for the Fast Strap app. Use the promo code TSS. We'll double your deposit up to $50. That's $100 to throw down. And we're going to give you some great ultimate DFS lineups on Sunday morning. So make sure you check that out as well. A little plug there. Also, if you're looking for championship bling for your fantasy champion, look no further than Pro-Am Belts. All right, we got to break down Week 7. But before we do, we got our man in the house. The doc is in. He's going to give us the latest in injury news. Let's bring in Brian Scott from the Injured List Podcast.
It's time to get your latest NFL injury updates with Brian from the Injured List Podcast. The doctor is in.
The doctor is in, and make yourself comfy because, man, well, last week actually wasn't too bad, but we're starting to get things popping up here and there. A lot of crazy stuff for you, Brian, so they've been keeping you busy this year.
Well, the good news is there's already been a lot of decisions made for this weekend, believe it or not. A bunch of reports came out today, and it looks like they're pretty decisive with who's playing and who's not. There's only a couple of guys that are really kind of on the fence here as to whether they're going to be suiting up. So with that, let's start at the quarterback position. We've got Brock Purdy, who's likely not going to go. He is still recovering from this turf toe variant injury. Mac Jones, I've been saying this all along. They're going to keep throwing Mac Jones out there till his leg falls off. And hopefully by then, Brock Purdy will have been healed enough that he can step in and not have to worry about this toe being an issue the rest of the way. And it looks like that's the plan. So we'll see Mac Jones for the foreseeable future until Brock Purdy is 100% ready to go. Both are limited in practice, but that doesn't seem to mean anything right now. It's Mac Jones all the way until otherwise noted.
Yeah, and I did just see before I came in here under the little ESPN ticker that Brock Purdy is officially out. So you're on.
Yeah. So now Kyler Murray may be a true game time decision. He was limited in practice the last couple of days, dealing with this foot sprain that kept him out last week. That was kind of a last minute decision there. It sounds like there's going to be another last minute decision this weekend too. Kind of on the fence about whether or not we're going to see him. It's hard to really predict with this. If it's a significant midfoot sprain, I would have expected him just not to practice and him to sit out 2 weeks, but that's not the case. So it sounds like whatever it is mild, and he's trying to play through it and wants to play, and the team may just be holding him out as a precaution, but they're truly saying that it is going to be a game time decision. So flip a coin there. JJ McCarthy continues to work his way back from a high ankle sprain. I think it's probably going to be at least another week before we see him. And even if he does come back, it may not be because he's healthy. It may be because Wentz is a little beat up. But we'll have to see. As of right now, McCarthy's not ready to go. Running back position, Bucky Irving. Oh, by the way, Lamar Jackson, they have a bye. They're only one of 2 teams on bye this week, and we said they're going to wait for him to go on bye, and it looks like that's the plan. I'm expecting him to probably be back next week, so keep an eye on Monday, Tuesday practice sessions. He should step back on the field, hopefully. But moving back to the running back position, Bucky Irving's still out. Probably, again, he hasn't even stepped on the practice field. Shoulder, foot, all kinds of stuff going on with him. It may be a few more weeks. I don't know why they didn't put him on IR, but alas, here we are. There they have it. I still think it'll be a few weeks before we see him. Sounds like Chuba Hubbard is definitely coming back and is going to split carries with Rico Dowdle. Hubbard's been recovering from this calf injury for several weeks now. Dowdle showed out the last 2 weeks, so gave Hubbard a chance to get healthier and recover even more, because originally they were going to put him in, I think, like 2 weeks ago, and then decided not to. And then Dowdle had a breakout game, so they're like, all right, we'll stick with him for another week and give Hubbard a chance to recover. So this may do him good. But officially, it sounds like the Panthers are going to have them split carries. Wide receiver position, Puka Nacua officially out, dealing with this ankle injury. Probably going to be day-to-day next week as we head down the line here. I think the Rams have a Week 10 bye, if I'm not mistaken.
Week 8. They'll be on
okay, 8. So in that case, we might not see him until after the bye. We'll have to keep an eye on it. I mean, it didn't look serious. He was actually trying to come back and play the second half, and then they held him out. He only took like 2 snaps. But, here we are, and he's not playing Week 7. I don't know why you would put him back in next week at all. And, he'll probably be out until after the bye. In the meantime, Tutu Outwell was dealing with a hamstring issue. He had a full practice, I think, though, and should be good to go this weekend. There was some concern there with Puka Nacua being out. Marvin Harrison, it sounds like officially he's cleared concussion protocol, so he should be back to the lineup this weekend. Emeka Ekpuka, going to be a few weeks, unfortunately, with his hamstring. That's a tough one. I know, DJ. You put your hand on your chest.
Right in the heart.
The palpitations have begun for a lot of people, not just yourself. Mike Evans, it sounds like he's actually going to be returning this weekend, even though yesterday he didn't do much in practice, and then today it sounds like he didn't practice. But according to their head coach, Todd Bowles, it sounds like that was the plan, that they're not going to overexert him as he makes his return. So we could possibly see him this weekend. He might carry a questionable tag heading into the weekend. But it sounds like with Ekpuka going down and, by the way, Chris Godwin going down, they need Mike Evans now more than ever. Godwin's dealing with some type of new injury to his fibula, which is the same fibula he had fixed last season. Not sure what it is. They said it's just a new injury, unrelated to the surgery and injury he had last year. I have my doubts. One thing it could potentially be is some type of stress fracture, which if that's the case, you're looking at least 4 to 6 weeks. We don't really have much more to go on other than that, but I don't think they've even put him on IR, and he's not practicing, so I'm not sure what their plan is with him, but it will be some time before we see him. Garrett Wilson's officially been listed as out. He's dealing with a hyperextended knee. Good news, though, is the MRI did not show any major structural damage, so this should not be a tough one to bounce back from, but they'll probably give him a week or two to get ready with that. Calvin Ridley officially out with a hamstring injury. That could end up being several weeks as well. Good news for Cowboys fans, CeeDee Lamb is going to play this weekend, coming off this high ankle sprain. He actually said he probably could have played last week. He actually wanted to come in the game when he got hurt. So it sounds like they've just been babying this thing and taking it cautiously, which I think is the right move with a high ankle sprain. You don't want this to linger the rest of the way. He should be good. Terry McLaurin officially out again with this quad injury, hip flexor. We don't really know, sprain, strain. Not really sure what's going on. I did see a video of him jogging out to practice, and it looked like he was actually favoring that leg, which is not good. Jawan Jennings, he's been playing banged up all year. It looks like he's going to be playing banged up all year, but he'll be in there, playing with 5 broken ribs apparently. Shoulder issue, ankle issue, two ankle issues according to him. So I don't know how effective he's going to be, but he's in there. And that's because Ricky Pearsall's out again. We're not going to see him probably for at least another couple of weeks. the thing that really hits hard to the 49ers is that they don't have a bye till week 14, and that's not good. But miraculously, they keep winning. So figure that one. Quentin Johnson, I think he's been officially listed as out with a hamstring. You might have to double check me on that. Fact check me if you will. But I think he's officially out with a hamstring injury. He was not practicing earlier in the week, or maybe he was limited. I could have this wrong. Did they say he's cleared?
I'm scrolling now. Sorry.
Yeah, let me know, because I think he actually might be cleared. I think he might be good to go. I think he got a full practice in yesterday. I had to rewind in my brain. Anyway, we'll move on. Darnell Mooney, I'm not sure if he's actually practicing. I might have got the two guys mixed up here, but he's been dealing with a hamstring issue for the last week or two. We might not see him just yet. Josh Downs got a mysterious concussion out of nowhere, apparently. They think it might have occurred toward the end of the game this past weekend, and he was held out of practice, went into concussion protocol, and they've officially ruled him out this weekend. Jalen Coker should be off of IR. I think he's playing. Sounds like he's ramped up his activity and doing very well, so he should be back. Christian Watson, not quite yet. Still coming off this ACL reconstruction. I think it might be a couple more weeks. He's in the 21-day window, though. He has been doing stuff. So they're going to have to make a decision on him soon. I think he's already into week 2. So we might have a decision on him next week. Tight ends, you got Brock Bowers, still not ready with this bone bruise PCL. He hasn't even stepped on the practice field. George Kittle will make his return for the 49ers, so at least I got that bright spot there. He's actually looked fairly good in practice this week. And then David Njoku did not practice. I think he's officially out this weekend with some type of knee injury. And there's been a lot of trade rumors swirling around him as well due to the good play of their other tight end.
Yeah, Fan's been great for them.
Yeah.
So Quentin Johnson actually is good to go.
Yeah,
and since I'm on that team, just because, not that it's hugely relevant, but Hassan Haskins has come up on the questionable with a chest injury. So, all those questions about Vidal and him, it looks like it just might be all Vidal for this particular game. Seeing, depending, of course, what that injury looks like.
And Mooney is still questionable. It's kind of like a flip of a coin whether he's going to be ready, but they're saying he's going to carry a questionable tag. It might be a game time decision.
Nice. All right, my friend. Well, appreciate you stopping in for week 7. That's a lot of valuable information that we definitely need going into this weekend. Go check out the Injured List podcast all over social media. Get all your injury updates. As well, of course, you can check them out right here Sunday morning at 8 a.m. We'll have all your latest and greatest from injury news as well.
Well, there is one more that I actually left off the list, and it just happened like earlier today. Marquez Valdez-Scantling went on IR for the 49ers.
All right.
So if you think you might have picked up one of their guys as a backup, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, well, good luck picking up any 49ers and hoping that they're not going to get injured, apparently. So
it's really unheard of. Like I can't remember a team having this much bad luck when it comes to injuries at this point.
And it's year after year. Like what is going on over there? I just don't know. It's strange.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, thanks again for popping in. We'll see Brian out from our friends with NeuroGuard Plus. We'll see you then. And I just want to comment, I've never seen Brian wear that Giants hat more than I ever have.
Well,
I'm feeling good about Jackson Dart. I'm feeling good about it.
I don't blame you. They're exciting.
This is the first positive thing I've had to look forward to in the last 7 years. So
100%.
Cut me some slack.
No, I feel you. I was making fun of Fred the other day because I said, "Well, your Yankees lost, so the only thing you got left now are the Knicks, bro." So tighten up. All right, man. Appreciate you. We'll see you on Sunday morning, man.
All right, later. Dr. Michael Hutchison has harnessed the latest in neuromuscular dentistry and impact technology to develop a mouthguard that does more than protect. It enhances. NeuroGuard Plus isn't just a mouthguard. By focusing on the jaw's physiological position, it provides an added layer of neuroprotection, significantly reducing the risk of sports-related neurological injuries. All athletes should be using a custom mouthguard designed to their bite position. NeuroGuard Plus was created as a means to maintain your physiological jaw position regardless of your bite. The appliance is designed to optimize your upper-lower jaw relationship to improve your strength, your balance, your oxygen intake, and drastically lower your chance of a concussion. Independent studies have shown that the NeuroGuard Plus will provide you with improvement to both upper and lower body strength. The same improvements were not present with a common mouthguard. Over 6,500 athletes have used the NeuroGuard Plus. Dr. Hutchison is happy to say that the amount of diagnosed concussions is 0.2%. The NeuroGuard Plus offers athletes, coaches, and parents an advantage to keep their players safe on the field. If you or your child actively participates in athletics, they need to be protected from the dangers of repetitive head trauma. Get your NeuroGuard Plus mouthguard today. Click on the link and use code ILP Sports for 10% discount on your purchase.
What is up, Royston? Thanks for checking in today, my brother. We appreciate you. Happy Friday to you, my friend. All right, well, last night happened. Let's talk about it.
Breaking news. The boys from TSS Fantasy still don't know what the hell they are talking about.
Indeed, and I feel like we're saying this every Thursday. Like, once you think you got it all figured out, the NFL, of course, throws little things at you to make you realize you don't know anything. Look at last night, the Bengals. Joe Flacco was like the oldest shootout in the history of the NFL, I feel like. I don't know if that's true or not. But you got Aaron Rodgers, 4 TDs, 2 interceptions. By the way, 33-31 Bengals on a last gas field goal, I guess, if you will. Wasn't even a gas, though. They were just charging down the field. But Aaron Rodgers, again, 4 TDs, 2 picks, 249. Jalen Warren, 127 on the ground. Fryer moved. Oh, my goodness. 111, 2 TDs, 5 receptions. By the way, ironically, I'm playing somebody in Dynasty, and I had Jamar Chase, and I threw in the Steelers D. And I was like, oh, well, I know Steelers D didn't do anything, but Jamar Chase, man, I must be killing him. This clown put in Fryer moves. I was like, why? Why did you do that? So now I'm on a struggle bus with that game. Joe Flacco, though, let's talk about that. 342, 3 TDs, threw the ball 47 times last night. Welcome back, Bengals offense. Chase Brown, 11 carries, 108 yards on the ground. And I mentioned Jamar Chase, 16 receptions for 161 and 1 TD. Also, T. Higgins having a good night last night. 6 receptions, 96 yards, and a TD, and really should have had 2, but decided to do the smart thing for the Bengals and take that knee, I guess, if you will, right before it so they could hit that game-winning field goal as time expires. Great game, though. I wasn't expecting it. It was great offense. DJ, what were your thoughts about last night's game?
The Ben Gable certainly did not disappoint between those two. The senior citizens were slinging it at some of the – what I thought was interesting is Aaron Rodgers has never been known to feature his tight ends a lot, minus the 1 year with Bob Tunyon. 4 touchdowns to all the tight ends, 3 different ones nonetheless, dude. They completely mix it up. Joe Flacco, for better and for worse, can still sling it. He still gets the Jamars out there somewhere. T. Higgins, he can still just get the he out there somewhere sort of thing. And for the Steelers defense, fantasy-wise, if you have them on your team, you got to stream them week to week at this point. Like, you have to play them against a very favorable matchup because they don't stop anybody anymore. They either get sacks or takeaways or you run down the field. And we saw it yesterday. They got ran down the field on. So historically, you take them maybe in the last 4. You take them a little bit early, you're good on defense for pretty much the whole year. You feel safe with it. You deal with the bad games. At this point, you got to stream them. You got to be like, oh, they're playing the Browns. I'll test it. Now you can't even say they're playing the Bengals. I'll test it because everyone's cooking them. So the most expensive defense you can't play. And Chase Brown, his second career 100-yard game. So first time with maybe everyone on the Bengals is viable again, and not just viable, but like really, really good. And maybe Flacco, if your quarterback situation is that bad, you take a gamble just because you can get these high moments. Like, it's what a game. And I think not touching either one of those defenses, now that you were taking the Bengals regardless. And as far as the Steelers offense, I think everyone's kind of viable if you get desperate enough in that offense too, which is a nice surprise where you can take any of those tight ends. You mentioned Freiermuth. Like, that guy stumbled upstairs into 30 points, basically. I can't believe it. All 3 of the tight ends in one of my leagues were on the free agency wire. And you could have taken any of them. They're probably going to outscore your starting tight end this week unless you have Tyler Warner, Trey McBride. So you never know anything. And Thursday makes it worse every time. Like, as soon as you think you got the NFL figured out, you get a great big middle finger.
Every time, especially in these Thursday night games too. It just seems like every time you think you got it all figured out, and then here you go. Here's something else to throw at you. Flacco last night. Wow. And I think a good thing that I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was the same premise I had about I was big on drafting Dak this year because we know how bad the Cowboys defense is. Well, I thought they didn't really have a running game until Javonte Williams started to rekindle his magic. But, that was like the thought process is, hey, their defense is bad. They're going to have to throw themselves into games. Well, the Bengals defense is really bad. And Joe Flacco, obviously 47 times throwing the football last night. They're not afraid to fling it with him. So he definitely is a valuable pickup if he has not been picked up yet. Definitely going to be a top waiver wire choice next week. So I would definitely jump on that train, at least to have him for matchups. And yeah, you're totally right about the stream in the defense. Like, I had the 49ers D too, and I was just kind of up in the air. But like I said, you saw that Bengals, and I'm like, Joe Flacco, was not thinking that was going to happen last night. That's for damn sure. All right, my friend, we got a whole week 7 to go through. Let's get it done and break it on down.
It's time to get your lineup set with TSS Fantasy's Friday Night Breakdown.
Breakdown.
Bring it on down.
Break down.
Bring it on down. Bring it on down.
All right, that was my friend Ashley doing that for us. No, I'm just kidding. That was all computer generated. Let's get things started in London. Don't forget, wake up with us at 8 a.m. And then right after we're done, we're watching football. The Rams face the Jags. Rams against fantasy QBs are 6th, 3rd against running backs, 11th against receivers, 15th against tight ends. Jags 21st against QBs, 10th against running backs, 26th against receivers, and 11th against tight ends. So, DJ, who you like, who you don't like on the Jags this Sunday?
I don't really love Trevor Lawrence or Brian Thomas would be the front. Just because Trevor Lawrence, he always worries me a little bit. He'll give you the great game, but then he'll have a dingbat moment. And I'm worried because the Rams secondary can get got, as we've seen. But the problem is it doesn't matter when Jared Verse and them are wreaking havoc. And I do worry they're going to wreak havoc on plays, so I don't trust the consistency. Brian Thomas is awesome, but for some reason him and Trevor Lawrence have not had a rapport their entire careers together. It's been Mac Jones and Brian Thomas that made Brian Thomas elite. And then as far as what I do like, it's going to be completely counterintuitive to everything I just said. But I do like Travis Hunter if you do need a flex spot and you're really looking for it. I think on offense, I mentioned that secondary can get got. He's very explosive. That a lot of what Liam Cohen does is just get the ball out of Trevor's hands if they're under siege. So I think getting the ball to him. And if you're really, really thin too, Bajal Tootin, the backup running back, in the same vein of filling that Bucky Irving role from last year as that second running back, runs a 4.32, scored a few touchdowns in limited time. They got rid of Tank Bigsby for a reason. So I like those two guys. I don't love them necessarily if you can avoid them, but if you do need a flex spot or it's just that type of week, you're very Ravens or Bills dependent, so it's bye weeks. I think those two guys could get you a weird, random, surprising, oh wow, touchdown. Cool. We're not lost in this spot. So I like those two as potential flex guys, or Brenton Strange. As we mentioned, all the tight end points are scored on Thursday, so there's none left for the rest of the league, but at this point, maybe you can get something from him.
Heard that. All right, so far on the Rams side, the Jags D has been decent this year. So it's not like I'm like, oh my God. But I will say they're better against the run than they are against the pass. Sorry, I keep looking up and watching the Hurricanes do what they normally do, like the Dolphins, and just fucking blow it. Sorry. But I do like Matt Stafford in this game. He, in my rankings, he's just outside the top 12 because this Jags D can definitely get had. And without Puka, you would expect, a little bit of downtick, I guess, in his numbers. But that's why you got to smash start Devonta Adams this week. Going to definitely make some big plays. You see that happening. I'm not going to sit here and tell you Jordan Whittington or any of those guys because, quite frankly, I saw Jordan Whittington drop quite a few wide open passes last week. So I'm like, I'm not really big on him. But, of course, this will be the week that because I'm talking about it, he's going to go off, of course. But it would be, for me, in this game, Devonta Adams. You're going to start Kyron Williams because that's your starting running back, obviously. So he's going to be up there, but I'm not in love with his matchup. But Matt Stafford, Devonta Adams are definite good-to-go plays for this week. All right, let's get on to the next one. The Eagles face the Minnesota Vikings. Eagles against fantasy QBs are 19th, 25th against running backs. I can't even believe I'm saying that. 17th against receivers, and they're 3rd against tight ends. Minnesota, 3rd against QBs, 19th against running backs. They are number 1 against receivers and 20th against tight ends. What say you on those Minnesota Vikings?
It probably goes without saying, but if you have Jordan Mason, you're probably playing him regardless. And I think especially this one, because as you mentioned, the Eagles just weirdly get got against running backs. We saw the creatine Caucasians with the Giants just a week ago go ballistic on him, including Cam Scadaboo's 3 touchdowns. If it is JJ McCarthy, which it sounds like it might be between him and Wentz, we'll see. Whichever one it is, I expect them to try and run the blood out of the ball. I think Jordan Mason, you could probably get 15 to 20 carries out of him. So I like that option. I also think TJ Hawkinson, I know he's been kind of disappointing this year for a lot of people because you probably drafted him anticipating production and it has not been there. I think this could be a week where, all right, a lot of running Jordan Mason, avoiding the Quinyon Mitchell in the secondary, then maybe you get a little TJ Hawkinson. But Jordan Mason's the one you hammer that one home. If he has a bad game, you live with it. But the chances of him having a bad one against this defense feel very unlikely, especially with the Vikings coming off almost a mini-ish bye week at that sort of thing, or a longer bye week, excuse me. So I'm loving Jordan Mason, and I think TJ Hawkinson could be a move this week since, as we mentioned, tight ends, all the points are gone. You're just hoping to get something at this point.
Might be tight end you this weekend, apparently. Don't forget, too, this is a revenge game for Carson Wentz, so could maybe something in there. But I always feel like, I talked about it when he took over. He's one of those guys that kind of like in Sam Darnold, when the big moment comes, they go disappearing. So, I'm kind of like up in the air on what this Minnesota team's going to do this week. But like you said, with that elongated bye, they might be ready for this Eagles team who's quite frankly been struggling not only on defense, but on offense as well. I mean, they've been talking about how Jalen Hurts has struggled. We actually went up to the home opener, so I saw it live against the Cowboys. And I mean, I was impressed actually that day on the Cowboys secondary. So I feel like this is more a play calling issue than it is the receivers or Jalen struggling, because how could you not design plays to get Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown open? It's crazy to me. I think they're both flex options this week. I mean, you're going to put A.J. Brown in your wide receiver 2 or 1, but it's, quite frankly, the point production just says flex to me. Saquon Barkley, smash start. I'd start, you're going to start him all this week. I think he has a good game this week. And obviously Goddard, Minnesota has been gotten by the tight ends, and Goddard right now has been pretty much the number 1 target for Jalen Hurts the way this season has gone. So I like Goddard. I'm starting Jalen Hurts if I have him, because he's going to get something on the ground or a tush push in the end zone a couple times. So you're going to start these guys. It's just one of those. It's not a great matchup, but I don't know, what you would have on your roster that would make you sit Jalen Hurts. Maybe a Joe Flacco, but he already played, so you're screwed. All right, let's go to the next one. The Patriots at the Titans. Patriots against fantasy QBs are 12th, 7th against running backs, 19th against receivers, 23rd against tight ends. Titans, 4th against QBs, 29th against running backs, 16th against the receivers, and 9th against tight ends. So what do you say, my friend, about those Tennessee Titans? And good luck. Sorry I gave you this one.
Not a whole lot of good things to say, but what I will give him is it's the first game without Brian Callahan as the head coach, so maybe you get that new coach firing bump that you sometimes see coming out of the gate. There's also the revenge factor with Mike Vrabel coming back, which maybe maybe the Patriots overload for that, if that makes sense. Like they overcompensate for that a little bit. I'll look at Calvin Ridley is out, so obviously if you have Amenor, you're going to play him, but I also don't hate Van Jefferson as a slot option or a flex option. Like, someone's got to catch these passes, and maybe it's garbage time because they're getting clapped, or maybe they're weirdly competitive, and Cam Ward does his scrambling all around, almost Russell Wilson-esque impersonation of extending the play. The Patriots aren't going to let you run the ball a lot, so I don't expect too much from Pollard or Spears, but maybe if you're really, really desperate, because it has been that kind of year, Tyler Lockett might be out there somewhere. Like, he's a veteran leader. He knows how to get open. He knows how to be on the field. He knows how to just find the spots. So I do like those receivers with Calvin Ridley being out. And the Patriots, that's a good defense, and the Titans are a bad team. So you're really splitting hairs, and you're having a rough season if this is what you're going to. But I think those two have an opportunity to at least not drag your team into the abyss, to maybe fill some of that void.
Yeah, 110%. It's funny because, doing this stuff on the podcasting, I'm in a lot of NFL fan groups, and Titans always seem to pop up on my feed. And I've seen so many posts about getting rid of Tyler Lockett and bringing up Xavier Restrepo to help out Cam Ward, obviously where they play together with the U. So I find but it's crazy to me. I mean, Tyler Lockett, I know he's older, but he's still really good. So, I'm sure they're going to find a way. I think you're right. I think this might be one of those Tyler Lockett surprise games this week. All right, the Patriots, though, Drake May is it right now. I got him 10th, I believe, on my QB. I don't have my rankings in front of me, but I think he's like 10th right now for me on QB rankings. I mean, he gets it done on the ground and in the air. So you got to like him this week. Titans, notoriously bad against the run. But the problem, of course, is, everybody wants to see TreVeyon Henderson go off, but I don't know what they're holding him back from, because he is a big play guy. I know he's had some fumble issues, but we know Ramondre Stevenson's got fumble issues too. So, I can't tell you. I would start either one of them, but I would see Trey as one of those flex options, and Ramondre definitely RB2, sliding into almost RB1 this week, the way this Titans defense plays. And receiver-wise, quite honestly, their secondary, surprisingly, is pretty decent for the Titans. So I can't sit here and tell you, get some booty, get Diggs. They're all pretty much just flex options for me. You're kind of picking and choosing who you want to throw in there. And of course, Hunter Henry having the resurgence. I guess him and Joe Flacco went to St. Augustine and hit up the Fountain of Youth, apparently prior to the season starting, because they're both, Hunter Henry surprised the heck out of me. So he's definitely still a viable option at tight end. But like you said, it seemed like all the tight end points might have just went away on Thursday night. So we shall see. All right, let's go to the Panthers at the Jets. Another surprise team, Carolina Panthers. They're 14th against QBs, 15th against running backs. They're 5th against receivers, 31st against tight ends. The Jets, 24th against QBs, 14th against running backs, 7th against receivers, 28th against tight ends. What say you about those New York Jets?
There's not a lot of good things to say. What I will point out is, if they are going to win this season, this is the game to do it. Like, this is your best chance to win. And you don't have Garrett Wilson, which is definitely going to hurt. If you have Justin Fields, of course you play him just because of the running threat. He's bound to make a random 40-yard scramble or just something ridiculous that doesn't help the actual game, but looks great in fantasy football. You mentioned the Panthers maybe are a little bit weak. They're weak against the tight end spot, and I just don't love the receivers. I don't love the passing attack whatsoever for him, so I'm trying to avoid it. But Mason Taylor could be a pretty decent grab if you need something there. I think he could be one of those tight ends. You play him this week, it's great. You play him next week, you never hear from him again, just the way that offense runs. But this could be the week. I don't even really like Reynolds or Lazard or Smith or any of those guys in place of Garrett Wilson either. I feel like it's Justin Fields. If you have Breece Hall, you're already playing him anyway. So, most likely you're playing him because of where you drafted him. So I think you continue with that. And maybe Mason Taylor is your, hey, let's get something out of this one. But there's just, that offense is such a pain outside of Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson.
Two things I want to say. One is a correction. The Jets do play Miami in New York, a game me and Freddie are actually going up to New York to see in person. So that might actually be the game this year. I hate to say it, but it's so true. And plus, when I travel to these games, I think my record is 1-15. Every Dolphin game I seem to travel to, they lose. So I'm just we're going up to really for the New York scenery, take the wives, go around, see the Christmas tree at Rockefeller Center, that stuff. And then the game's kind of like an afterthought. So whatever.
That's to get the number one pick game. That's why you're going all right, let's get this push for that number one pick. I'm here to do my part.
That's so embarrassing. It's so true. All right, for the Panthers side, this Jets defense is, we talked about, that was number 2 thing. I actually absolutely love Mason Taylor this week. They've been targeting him a lot with Garrett Wilson, and without it, I could just see him getting a plethora of targets in this game. And again, the Panthers notoriously bad against tight ends. By the way, just throw this out there. If he's out in your waiver wire, go snag him, even if you aren't going to start him this week, because guess what he gets next week? The Bengals. And we saw what Freiermuth did to him. So 2 good weeks in a row possibly set up for Mason Taylor. But, like you said, this offense is up and down, helter-skelter, so who the hell knows? Anyway, I'm talking about the Panthers. Hubbard, Rico Dowdle. That's the big question really going into this matchup. And I wish I had some little, snippet to tell you, but, listen, they didn't give Hubbard that big contract, name him team captain just so he could sit behind Rico Dowdle. But on the Rico Dowdle side of this argument, he also set the Carolina Panthers record for a rushing in a fucking game. Sorry, watching the stupid Hurricanes. So again, it's just, I feel like this is going to be who has the hot hand. And, that's where this game's going to go. So really, unfortunately, I would just put them both as flex options, quite frankly, because we just don't really know how this is going to set up. Bryce Young, again, as I started to say, this Jets defense, the secondary has been very suspect. So Bryce Young has been playing some decent football. So we should see some good stuff there. Jalen Coker coming back as well. He could be a great option, but he's just getting in the mix, so I wouldn't expect a lot out of him this week. And just somebody to throw out there when we're talking tight end still, Jatavion Sanders is back. He could be somebody you could see having maybe sneak a couple TDs in there, maybe, who knows? So that could be another option. Jets also notoriously bad against tight ends as well. So just be something to throw out there. All right, went from one horrible team to another because we're going to talk about America's fart, the Miami Dolphins going against the Cleveland Browns. Miami again. I mean, I can't even believe I got to read this. Miami against fantasy QBs. They are 31st, 28th against running backs. Now they're 10th against receivers, but I think it's one of those anomalies that, they're just been run on. So they haven't been passed against very much. But I will say I did see a thing the other day. I think it was PFF or one of those. They grade the corners and they had Jack Jones, actually one of the top corners in the league, the way he's been playing. So that's kind of exciting. They're 26th against tight ends. So then you got Cleveland, 8th against QBs, 1st against running backs, 13th against receivers, 18th against tight ends. And let's throw this out there as well. Some really bad weather planned for this game. So what do you think about the Cleveland Browns?
I think they're 55-mile-per-hour winds expected to right off the lake. It's going to be miserable, but obviously, if you're Quinshon Judkins, you're playing Judkins. Like he's kind of at that point, I think, where if it's a week he's playing, you're just going to play him because he's going to, in theory, you should get workload. You'll take the good with the bad. I don't hate Dylan Sampson, the backup running back, in the same vein for I need a deep flex option. He's good when they attempt to give him the ball. He was SEC Player of the Year last year. He just had a mediocre combine. He is good. He just doesn't get chances, which I don't know why, but they should give him the ball some. And we're going to continue the tight end treat. I like Harold Fannin Jr. a lot. I picked him up for a Tyler Crafts bye week and he gets in the end zone. He's been just really, really good. They use him in the backfield. They use him at tight end. The weather's miserable and Dylan Gabriel's 5'4". He can't really throw the ball that far down the field anyway. So it's going to be a lot of dink, dunk, flick it around. That's Harold Fannin territory. So I like Harold Fannin and Dylan Sampson. I like the rookies here. And obviously Judkins because Judkins.
Yeah, I love him in this matchup. And on the other side, I'm going to use the same analysis. Tua, basically, you're going to see a lot of dinking and dunking for him. He's definitely not, up there in my rankings, but you'll see a lot of Darren Waller, I think, in this particular matchup as well. Not only do I like Achane because of the rain and all that stuff, but I also like Ollie Gordon as well because he will run straight up hardcore down the middle, which is what you want in a rainy game. So I think Ollie Gordon could sneak in your flex lineup if you've be sitting there. If he's sitting there, if you got no better options, you only got 2 buys this week, but if you got no better options, Ollie Gordon might be a fun play this week. Not in love with Waddle this week, as we mentioned. It's going to be a lot of short passes, and I always say joke around, but it is true. Every game, Waddle at some point will get up and waddle his ass off the field because for some reason you haven't been on the show in a while, DJ, but I've been talking about it. It's almost like he has a season-ending injury every game, and then the next play or next series, he's back in. What is?
And then he has that. That's when he makes the big play too. Like I forget he's 170 pounds, so it makes sense that because he's so small, he just doesn't look small. He just looks thin. But then it's like, oh yeah, career-ending injury, biggest play of the game. Then 2 plays later, the next drive, I'm glad we see it. That's the same thing. It's hilarious in a good way.
I'm always talking crap about it, quite frankly, but so that's as far as analysis on this game. Like I said, I just think you'll see a lot of run. You'll gotta love Quinshon Judkins in here. You gotta love Achane on the other side. So I think you'll see a lot of that in a lot of more running and then the short yardage. And Dylan Gabriel, quite frankly, he can run a little bit too. So he might be okay in this game because you could see a little bit of him on running the football as well. So we do have a question in here, and I'll get your thoughts, and I'll just chime in as well. Royce wants to know our thoughts on the Tampa receivers with a lot of injuries going in. So is there anyone here is there anyone you can like pick out with these guys that you think might have a big game?
Let me get my infirmary report to see their list of receivers really quickly. As you mentioned, I mean, Mike Evans, he's questionable. We'll see, as Brian told us earlier. And I think if you give him a chance just because you could throw him an alley-oop in the red zone. But I think Sterling Shepard is the safe one. I know everyone loves Tez Johnson for that big play that we saw last week, but I think if you have the chance to grab Sterling Shepard, he could fill a lot of the Emeka Egbuka rules. Him and Baker going back to Oklahoma. Just a lot of those weird short ones, because Detroit's going to be coming out with their heads on fire. So I think Sterling Shepard could get a lot of those. 3rd and 5, here comes the heat. Bang, bang, bang. Like a lot of the short 7 catches, 70 yards, maybe a score or something like that. Maybe not flashy, but effective. But I think he's the safest one that I like out of that group, considering the way that's been this year. It's like, I don't trust none of these guys besides Emeka Egbuka, and now he's gone. And so I'd go Sterling Shepard, which is kind of the boring answer. But
yeah, you're spot on. So just put it in this perspective. Sterling Shepard gives you the safer floor, where Tez Johnson might give you a higher ceiling if he hits, but that floor could be real low, if anything. I believe he had 3 targets and caught the one to the house last week. Now, this game seems to be set up as like a fantasy bonanza, so I do want a little piece of it. It's just kind of scary on the Bucs side who you're going to pick. Like you said, Sterling Shepard, if you're playing PPR, money. That's an easy one. But, Tez Johnson could be a viable flex option. Like I said, you're just running a big risk, because if he doesn't hit, you're not going to get much. But if he does, you're going to get a whole lot. Could be your week winner, if you will, if he does hit. So, yeah, you're spot on with that one, my friend. All right, let's get to the next matchup. The New Orleans Saints at the Chicago Bears. New Orleans, 29th against fantasy QBs, 12th against running backs, 23rd against receivers, 22nd against tight ends. Bears, 28th against QBs, 27th against running backs, 25th against receivers, and 21st against tight ends. So much for that newly vaunted good Bears defense. What do you think about the Bears side on the offense, though, my friend?
I will say I'm still not touching their defense in fantasy. I know those numbers feel skewed because of what the Lions did to them, and they've had some good moments here and there. Like last week, the 3 takeaways, that was good. The Saints have been they haven't been good, but they haven't been bad. Like they've been very weird, so I'm not touching the Bears defense as much as it feels like it could be a good option. You play DJ Moore if you have him. He's cleared from the groin injury. You play Roma Dunze. He's been a revelation. For the sneaky ones, I'm gonna go with the Young Bucks. I think Luther Burton could actually do something here. Especially if DJ Moore, if they kind of ease him a little bit. I know he's cleared, but you don't want to, whether they're trying to trade him because they ignore him all the time, or if they just want to keep him long-term, maybe Luther Burton. This feels like the game Colston Loveland has to get a chance to. Like he's been out there. They just have not really featured him. I mean, his season totals are Tyler Warren's weekly average. They can't let that continue considering they took Colston ahead of him. This is also Tyler Warren, me glazing him right now, so we'll ignore that. But this has to be a good week for Colston Loveland. You mentioned they don't do good against tight ends, so him and Cole Kmet, there should be plenty of room to operate. They see the field. They both are on the field. So I think I want to play Colston Loveland this week. I don't blame you for not doing it. If you have either one of them, I think play either one of them. This has to be the week, right? Like this is the time to use those guys.
Yeah, it's ironic because I remember watching a Bears preseason game and fucking Hurricanes just threw another interception. Jesus. I forgot what the hell I was saying. I'm so aggravated by the Hurricanes, but whatever. I will just in the preseason, the Bears, there we go. Get my track back on. It was almost like I was sitting here watching this team, and I'm like, man, they're going to use the tight ends all year long because that's all they threw to in the preseason. It seemed like Colston Loveland. I was like, oh my God, this guy's going to be amazing. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way, the way that this offense has been running, but it's been running okay. Like they've done good stuff. And just the one other thing I just want to throw out there, Swift just popped up like today as questionable going into this matchup. So keep your eye out on that. Kyle Monungai could be the guy to pick up, or Roshan Johnson, either one, but keep your eye out on that. for this particular game. On the Saints side, like you said, it's their I think the word you used was weird, and I think that's spot on because, you got this offense that you're looking at it like, Spencer Rattler, and then he ends up throwing it for like 50 times, so he gets some decent. And Chris Olave, by the way, has had a sneaky decent season this year, so I think you're going to see decent play out of Chris Olave in this matchup. I don't know if I'm starting. I wouldn't be starting Spencer Rattler. I don't know who the hell would be. But I think Chris Olave is a good play. You got to like Kamara, although, they've been kind of going back and forth with him. So, that's one of, and then all the trade rumors and all that stuff. But I think this is going to be that breakout for Kamara. I don't think he's even hit the end zone this year. So I'm going to throw this prediction out there. He's going to get 2 tutties against this Bears defense that, quite frankly, like I said, just hasn't done very well overall. And I think, again, not doing well against fantasy. They're 27th against fantasy running backs. So I think this is that Kamara game that we've been waiting for anyway. And then, Juwan Johnson did what Juwan Johnson does. He's got a few good games, and now he's starting to slide off. Taysom Hill is back as well. So, again, this offense, I think that's a perfect word, is weird. But Chris Olave, I think you're good with it. Very wide receiver 2 flex option. And I love Kamara actually this week. So I think you could put him at least as RB2 this week in this particular matchup. But everything else, I'm like, kind of wait and see. All right, let's go to the Raiders at the Chiefs. Raiders are 9th against fantasy QBs, 17th against running backs, 28th against receivers, 8th against tight ends. The Chiefs, 16th against QBs, 13th against running backs, 9th against receivers, and they are 5th against tight ends. So what say you about those Kansas City Chiefs?
Keep mine relatively brief because the Raiders haven't really been good against anybody this year defensively. If you have a Chiefs player, go ahead and play him this week. I think everyone has an opportunity to cook at, unless it's Juju Smith-Schuster. That's where I draw the line. But everybody else, if you have them, might as well play them. You've been stashing Rasheed. Maybe don't expect 30 points, but I think he can get you 5 for 50 in his first game back. He's Mike Thomas 2.0, just slant, stop, slant. Xavier Worthy, you play him for that 60-yard touchdown. That's inevitable. Tyquan Thornton, if you're desperate like I am in one league, you never know because you got that 40-yard touchdown. Travis Kelce still finds a way. If you have a Chief, play them this week. That's the simple answer, unless it's Juju. I'm drawing the line there. Don't get that desperate.
I love it. Royson commented he picked up Sterling Shepard on the waivers. His receivers are bogus, and he says thank you. Thank you, Royson. Appreciate the question, as always. All right, what do you think of this one? Jonathan Santiago wants to know, pick one in PPR. He's got Diggs, Wandell, Dobbs, and J-Mo.
I'm going to rule out Wandale because they're playing against the Broncos, and I think that's just always a tough out. That I will always worry about that. Dobbs, gosh, when the good is good, it's great. When the getting's good, it's great with him. The downside is when it's bad, he doesn't see the field. He'll get you 3 touchdowns or he'll get 3 targets. Diggs is a safe option, so I'm going to go with Diggs. I think he's had a nice little resurgence. Him and Drake got a good connection. I think the chance of him getting you 20 is a little more likely than the others. JMO's kind of the same as they just haven't featured him as much this year. I think Ben Johnson loved abusing him, where this year the offense is more centered around we got Amon-Ra and Laporta. We're going to feature them and Jahmyr Gibbs. So I like Diggs. He's the safest pick that still has a high upside in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, you're spot on. And it goes back to the conversation we just had earlier. Diggs is, I believe, like you said, he's a safe floor. But J-Mo, I want something in that damn game because I feel like it's going to be, and like you said, the Lions are going to be, but it goes back to what we were just talking about. Yes, he could have an amazing game, but then could have absolutely nothing. So it's been up and down for him as well. So it's one of those things. It is PPR, however. So I think I'd go with what DJ said and go with Diggs, as he's that safer. Going to see a lot of hits at least. So you at least have that. Jonathan, thanks for the question. He's got another one here. Mason Taylor, Kyle Pitts, PPR. Listen, I'm not going to ask DJ because, listen, Kyle Pitts just fucking kicked the road, bro. How many times are you going to kick the can with this guy? Mason Taylor, we're just talking about this. There is nobody else to throw the football to in New York. Might not be a lot of throwing, but when they do throw it, I would expect Mason Taylor to be he is a smash star for me this week. So I think this is an easy one. But would you say Kyle Pitts over him?
No, I'm taking Mason Taylor as well. But if Kyle Pitts was going to Kyle Pitts, this would be the week because there's no Fred Warner for the 49ers. They are so injury rattled. In theory, this should be a Drake. When Darnell Mooney plays, they ignore Drake London. I don't know what it is. When Drake's not there, we saw Monday 10 for $150. If Mooney does play, then it's weird. If this is going to be the week for Kyle Pitts, this is his 28-point week. But I'm not risking that. I'm not risking the 28 points for the 3 points. I'll play them both, or I'll play just Mason Taylor.
I like it. And I'm glad Justin isn't on tonight because last week, we were just talking about the Bears game. Last week, I played Justin in our home fantasy league. And wouldn't you know, it comes down to the Monday night game. First and foremost, I think it's the second to last drive. If Zacchaeus would have kept his eye on the ball and caught it, he was probably gone, which would I had Caleb Williams, who would have made me win the game. But it ends up, of course, we're at like .3, like he's winning, or I ended up going ahead, something to that effect. And then, of course, Caleb Williams got to kneel the fucking ball down, which made me lose the yards and made me lose the damn game. You want to talk about the worst way to lose a fantasy game? I haven't seen Justin since, so I'll see him on Sunday morning. I'm sure we'll have a nice, friendly conversation about that.
They need to take away knees from scoring. Like, kneel downs should not count against scoring. I hate it. I don't know how they do it, but
that's so ridiculous. And then what hurt me the most, though, is I have Cam Little as my kicker, and he had the one missed extra point that kind of really screwed me anyway. All right, let's talk about the Raiders. Listen, Geno Smith, no. Ashton Genty, yes. No Brock Bowers. There's nobody I trust in the receiving core. I know Trey Tucker is kind of like the Rashid Shaheed of the Raiders. It's hit or miss. When he does hit, kind of like some of the guys we talked about before. Kind of like some of the guys we said before that, if he hits, he's going to be a great play for you. But when he doesn't, which he definitely might not in this particular matchup, because the Chiefs right now, they're running hot, which is, funny because they just look so bad. Now all of a sudden they look great. So, who knows? But the only buddy I really trust after all that flabbing is Ashton Genty in this matchup. And, I'm not expecting a huge game, but I'm definitely expecting a little something from him in this particular matchup. All right, we're hitting the 4:00 games. Before we do, our girl Meg, all the way on the other side of the pond, is putting us in the Meg zone this week. She is actually a bouncer. So she has an exclusive club where her fantasy players come. And if she does not like them, they do not make it to the Meg zone. So she's going to bring that up. Now, I do have to apologize. She does mention Chase Brown, which has already happened. So unfortunately, that's a little late for that. But, she's across the pond. And plus, she had COVID this past week. So I got to give her some love anyway. All right. With all that blabbing, let's get it on. And here's the Meg zone.
Yeah! Yeah, baby. I'm in some Meg zone today.
Security.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Meg Zone, my exclusive club where only the best fantasy football players make it in. Everyone else gets stopped before they even get to the door. This week we start off with Chase Brown over at Cincinnati. Since week 1, he has not put up the numbers that we would expect of him. He has not been consistent and he is not getting those high numbers that we thought he would get before the season started. That has not changed since Joe Burrow's injury. We've seen Joe Flacco make his start and still Chase Brown really struggled. Next week they have got a difficult matchup and I do not think that he is going to be able to do very much in terms of numbers. So I would be avoiding Chase Brown. After that we have got Javonte Williams, Dallas Cowboys. Now I've been high on Javonte Williams since the start of the season. He's been one of the players that I've said really decent. However, last week he really looked out of his depth. He struggled, and next week they have a Washington Commanders team who are out for revenge following that loss last weekend. I would be saying avoid Javonte Williams for this week. That doesn't mean avoid him for the whole season, but this week I would sit him out wherever you possibly can. Finally, we have got Devontae Adams, another player who I've been really high on all season. However, I have seen the Jacksonville Jaguars team show up and do some phenomenal things, and having seen Devontae Adams last weekend and seen how disappointing he was, I would be very wary of putting him into my team. So I'm saying Davante Adams, unfortunately, love, this week you're not making it through the door and not getting into the MEG zone. If you want to have any more tips, hints, tricks on fantasy football, please make sure you drop me a follow on all social media platforms at Ballers_Meg.
Security.
Poor Meg, just dealing with COVID, still putting in the work, though. We appreciate you, Meg, as always. Jonathan Santiago says, my league still has Hunter Henry on the waiver. Would you drop Pitts for him and roll with Henry? I will just say I would definitely drop Pitts for him for sure, but I don't know if I'd roll with Henry this week. Again, I really like the Mason Taylor matchup for me. But what do you think, DJ? Would you put Hunter Henry over Mason Taylor this week?
I say before I finish this sentence, he should already have cashed that in and go get Hunter Henry. Right now, I think he's the second highest scoring tight end in fantasy football this year. Go grab him right now. Pitts can wait. Just go get him right now. My sentence is done, and now you have Hunter Henry on your team.
110% for sure. Royston says, guy I'm playing this week has 38 plus because of Chase. Ugh, nothing worse though. I will say though, I feel better when I'm down on Thursday because I feel like that's when I end up winning. And every time I'm up, that's when I feel like I lose. So you know what? You're good, bro. It's only 38. There's plenty of football to play. So you're good, bro. This, like I said, it might just be that little curse that I think I seem to have every time I'm up on Thursday. I end up freaking losing a game. So, all right, let's get to the 4 o'clocks and the rest of the lineup. The Colts at the Chargers. Colts against fantasy QBs are 11th, 8th against running backs, 29th against receivers, and 17th against tight ends. Chargers, 7th against QBs, 16th against running backs, 3rd against receivers, and 7th against tight ends. What say you about those Chargers?
The Colts secondary it looks like the Chargers offensive line with how many injuries are there. Like they are one and the same at this point. So if the Chargers can just mildly block semi-decently for Mr. Madison Beer so he can at least have a chance to throw the ball, then I'm taking all of the Chargers receivers. You have Ladd, you're playing him. If you have Quentin Johnston, well, you probably are playing him. Keenan Allen for a sneaky good flex pick if you're just like, I need help. He's bound to randomly end up in the end zone because he's Keenan Allen. That's how it always works. So I'm taking all the receivers.
And I like the Chargers defense. So, and I mentioned earlier, by the way, Haskins dealing with a little bit of a chest injury. So, should see a lot of Kamani Vidal. I've been saying it for weeks and it just hasn't happened with Daniel Jones just finally doing what Daniel Jones does. And he just continues to keep firing back. So I still like him in this matchup. Chargers secondary is pretty decent, but I feel like the Chargers I should have gave you the Colts. My bad, man. I just realized that. But I feel like the Chargers will score some points, and I feel like the Colts are going to be forced to throw this ball down the field a bit in this particular matchup. Gotta love Jonathan Taylor no matter what. So good there. Achane pretty much tore up the Chargers, even though Dolphins suck. So you can expect a good Jonathan Taylor game. Michael Pittman, obviously, is a good play this week because no Josh Downs. Alec Pierce, I don't even know what the hell happened to Alec Pierce anymore. But you may see a sneaky little bit of revival with Alec Pierce with him being out this week. And, of course, I don't need to say that. You said it earlier, poetically waxed Tyler Warren. He is the man in this offense. And, honestly, he's just a really good freaking tight end. So I really like Tyler Warren this week. All right, let's go to the next one. Giants at the Broncos. Giants against fantasy QBs are 20th, 21st against running backs, 30th against receivers, 12th against tight ends. Broncos, number 2 against QBs. Wow, look at this. 2 against QBs, 4th against running backs, 2nd against receivers, and 4th against tight ends. So if you got 2-4-2-4, play that in your whatever lottery you got coming up. All right, what do you think, my friend? What do you think of these Denver Broncos this week?
I think if you have J.K. Dobbins, you do play him still. Like I just don't love Denver's offense. If you have their defense, you ride with that defense. That is the defense you ride the whole way. If you are one of the leagues that has IDPs, Nick Bonito, of course, if you got him, you ride with that train because he's been a machine. This is tough because the Broncos offense has been so wildly inconsistent and awkward all season. As soon as you like somebody, they let you down. I'll say Cortland Sutton just because he's the most reliable one. Maybe Troy Franklin, if you're desperate, you could pick him up. Him and Bo could have that random Oregon to Oregon big play connection or something. But I feel like Cortland Sutton's the only one I feel really safe with, and then J.K. Dobbins. But yeah, those are the only ones I really feel good with because the Giants secondary is good, but not as good as their front line. So I'll take Cortland Sutton is the only one I feel really good with.
Yeah, and again, throwing these revenge games out, maybe a little revenge for Evan Ingram in this particular matchup. Who knows? So for the Giants side, man, what a surprise they have been. I'm not ready to put Jackson Dart in my starting lineup, but man, he's inching his way up there. You got to start Scattaboo at what he's done. I mean, I love what you said earlier, the creatine Caucasian. So yeah, gotta love it there. And like you mentioned before, when we brought up Wan'Dale Robinson, Darius Slayton, if he's good to go this week. I mean, all these guys are, I think Wan'Dale out of all of them in PPR is probably your most safest floor in this matchup. And this Broncos D is so good. It just wouldn't be somebody I'd be excited. It'd be more flex option for me in this particular matchup. But Scattaboo, Wan'Dale, that's there are Scattaboo's RB2 flex, and Wan'Dale is more flex for me in this matchup. Johnson, the tight end, we'll see maybe a sneaky little touchdown here or there, but I think your guys really here are Scattaboo and maybe Wan'Dale and PPR. That's kind of like where I am with that. All right, let's go to the next one. Packers at the Cardinals. Packers against fantasy QB 17th, 5th against running backs, 24th against receivers, or 30th against tight ends. Cardinals 10th against QBs, 24th against running backs, 14th against receivers, 27th against tight ends. Now, I know it's all on hinges on if Kyler Murray plays or not, but what do you think of the Arizona Cardinals?
I heard 30th against tight ends, so as if there was any doubt about it, Trey McBride will be playing. Like, there's no doubt there, so surprise, surprise. But even if it is Jacoby Brissett, I do like the chance of some of those receivers to get options on that Packers secondary. Micah Parsons is still Micah Parsons. He just hasn't Micah Parsons since week 1. So I like Marvin Harrison. I know last week the concussion kind of short-lived it. He still got you 3 points with a concussion on his first touch. So I expect a little bit of a bounce back. He has been cleared this week. I think that's the main one. I like the other receivers. If you get really in a pull like Dortch, I believe he's could be a good pull if you absolutely need it. Don't really like any of the running backs personally. They haven't quite figured it out. But if it is Jacoby Brissett, I still like Marvin. If it's Kyler, I like Marvin. I think if you have him, you're playing him regardless. So it's not really a surprise. Maybe Jacoby Brissett if you are desperate for a quarterback and he's still out there. The Packers defense is not. It's good, but there are fantasy-wise for some reason they actually give up points. So I think that could be the sneaky, oh goodness, I'm desperate and I missed the Joe Flacco train.
I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so for the Packers side, you mentioned inconsistency, and I feel like a lot of that, when you look at Jordan Love as far as fantasy is concerned, that's kind of where he's been at. And quite frankly, why would they throw a lot when the Cardinals defense has been so bad against running backs? So you would see definitely a huge Josh Jacobs day for sure. I feel like this is the game where Golden is finally going to get his little behind in the end zone, but he's also talking about, like, I always throw up Rashid Shaheed in there because he's that like hit or miss guy, but they have been starting to target Golden more instead of just that deep ball. A couple of times they threw it to him on a couple of short routes. And I think one, he ended up taking it up the field a bit. So I think Matthew Golden in this game could be like a flex option. And same with Dobbs. I think they're more like flex options play this week. Josh Jacobs, he's one of the top 5 running backs coming out this week. So I don't think there's no doubt about it. And 27th against fantasy tight ends. Like you said, McBride's an easy call. So is Tyler Kraft in this matchup. So easy speasy on that one. All right, let's go to the next one. The old school rivalry, the Commanders at the Cowboys. Commanders against QBs are 27th, 18th against running backs, 20th against receivers, 10th against tight ends. Ooh, these Cowboys. Dead last against QBs. They're 30th against running backs. They are dead last against receivers and 16th against tight ends. So what say you for them Cowboys?
As somebody who has Dak in 3 different leagues, I am playing Dak this week. This is my comeback season. He has been absolutely on fire, and the stats are finally starting to match a little bit because he's played great all year. CD is back, thank goodness. My first-round pick is back, so we're good. I think he's still going to get some opportunities. As we heard earlier, he probably could have played last week if they wanted to, but they're being safe. I still think you play George Pickens this week. Everything he's done, I think you play both of them. This is Jamar and T, where they play different roles, and I think CD and Dak they're linked, they're telepathic, they're good. Now him and Pickens are on the same page. We're playing all the Cowboys. Maybe not Jake Ferguson, because I think a lot of the action he's got the last few weeks was without CD. You mentioned the Commanders. One of the few things they do good on defense is slow down tight ends. Their defense needs an ARP, so I'm taking those receivers, and we're flying high with the Cowboys offense. I'm taking anyone I have on the roster, we're playing them.
Yeah, this should be a fun fantasy matchup, and maybe even a fun game in general. Because you like to see, obviously, you're going to see Jaden Daniels do Jaden Daniel things against this Cowboys defense, really bad against fantasy QBs. And, you got to like Bill this week. I mean, again, 30th against running backs. So why the hell not? And Deebo Samuel this week. Now, he is a little banged up as well. And I think last week you kind of saw that on the field a little bit. It was a little slower. Had obviously having some injury concerns, but he's going to be a smash start for me this week. And I like Zach Ertz in this matchup as well. So those are the main guys. I think, I'll just put it this way. If you got a commander, unless you got somebody else, I would go with it, because quite frankly, this is going to be one of those fantasy bonanza games, and I'd like to get any little piece of this matchup. So I like it. All right, let's get to the Sunday night delight. The Falcons, surprisingly, at the 49ers. Falcons against fantasy QBs are 5th, 2nd against running backs. They're 6th against receivers, and number 1 against tight ends. Oh, my goodness. 49ers, 15th against fantasy QBs, 20th against running backs, 15th against receivers, and 13th against tight ends. All right, we know Brock Purdy's out, so we got the Mac Jones-led 49ers. Who do you like and don't like on that one?
Well, I hate them all, honestly, because they're all broken. Like, who's even available besides CMC? And if you have CMC, you play him every week at this point. He's the 3rd leading receiver as a running back. It's absolutely asinine. But Ricky Pearsall's out. Jawan Jennings is healthy, but after what he said about having 18 broken ribs, ankles, shoulders, and me playing him last week and getting 1 point because of it, we're not touching that one. We'll take Kendrick Bourne. He's just weirdly productive everywhere he's been. He listed as receiver 3. I think with Pearsall going to be out, he'll bump up to receiver 2. We saw what he did against the Rams when he was receiver 1, which he might be this week. We'll take that, even though the Falcons defense is really good. But if I got to take somebody, it's him, and I'm not taking Kyle Juszczyk at this point. So we'll take Kendrick Bourne as the one you play, and I'm definitely not touching their defense. Nick Bosa injury bad enough. Now you take out Fred Warner. Their defense can't survive anymore. It would take Robert Saleh should get coach of the year as a coordinator if they are still decent defense by the end of the year.
100%. So listen, I'll make this Falcons one real easy. Bijan, and London. That's all. I'm smashing both of those. They're great plays this week. You could maybe, if in a QB two QB league, you maybe throw Penix in there as well. But it's just numbers been all right. But you notice last week, I think the first half was just literally all London. And why the hell not? What a great receiver, and Bijan as well. So those are 2 great plays this week. That's pretty much it on that one. All right, let's go to the next one. I also feel like I wish Tampa was healthy, because, man, this would be a great matchup if they were full go. You got the Bucs at the Lions. The Bucs against fantasy QBs are 23rd. They're also 23rd against running backs. They're 12th against receivers, 18th against tight ends. The Detroit Lions are 26th against QBs, 6th against running backs, 27th against receivers, and they're 14th against tight ends. So what say you on those Detroit Lions?
I think Monday night in Ford Field, back in the Bucs coming in banged up, they're coming off that painful loss to the Chiefs, where they're still talking about it now because they're not thrilled about how it went. I think they're going to come out for blood. I think they're going to try and pick on the injured Buccaneers team. You obviously play your guys like Gibbs, St. Brown, the usuals. I like David Montgomery this week. If you have him as kind of your flex RB2 occasional, I think this will be one where he gets a little bit of burn. Campbell mentioned wanting to kind of balance out their workload a little bit, so I think we'll see a little bit more of him, maybe at least in short yardage red zone work. Maybe gets that touchdown that boosts it up. And I like Sam Laporta. It's been a tight end-centric show, so we're going to keep it going. I think they're going to find ways to get him the ball too. Just the little play actions, flick it right over the top. Levante David's still awesome, but Sam Laporta's, I think he's the one that you find ways in. Jamison Williams, he's a best ball baller. Like, if you play best ball, he's going to be wonderful with those random 26-point outbursts. He could have that kind of one this week too, because that Tampa Bay secondary, as you mentioned, we'll say holes is how we'll describe it politely. So I think everyone's going to eat. If you have Jamison Williams, you might as well play him. But I really like David Montgomery. It's a standout for this week.
So it's funny because, if you've seen us on here, I've always, like, back in the day, I used to hate Baker Mayfield. I was like, look at this guy, another Johnny Manziel running his mouth, ain't doing nothing. But man, if I have done a 360 on this guy, I mean, he's just always balling, got his heart and everything. I just wish, like, I know Scatterboo and Dart got this little, thing going on, but man, wouldn't it be cool to have Baker and Scatterboo on the same team? Like, talk about
neurological doctors across the country just shuddered at the idea of those two in the same backfield.
It'd just be so much trash talk, I think. I feel like it, but anyway, this matchup I love for fantasy. Again, I wish they were at full strength, but even with Mike Evans, not probably isn't 1,000% going into this game. A little ring rust, if you will. Still love him in this matchup, though. Gonna see targets if he's a go. Sterling Shepard, we brought him up earlier. Like him, or like Rachaad White, not as much as on the ground, but I think you'll see a lot of passes to Rachaad. And as we mentioned, it's like tight end you this weekend. Cade Otton might be a sneaky play for you this week. Again, with the injuries in the Bucs receiving core, and you saw it last week that he saw an uptick in targets. I expect a more uptick in targets this week. So Cade Otton could be, depending if you're hurting at tight end, could be a sneaky play for your team as well. So I'm just starting everybody I can, if possible, in this matchup. There's going to be fantasy points galore on both sides of the football. So I think this is a good fun game anyway. So, and NFL, please stop. Look at these games. Tampa at Detroit, and then I got to stay up till 10 o'clock to watch Houston and Seattle. Like, come on, bro, enough's enough. So let's talk about it. Houston at Seattle. Houston against fantasy QBs are number 1, 9th against running backs, 5th against receivers, or 6th against tight ends. The Seahawks, 18th against QBs, 22nd against running backs, 21st against receivers, and 25th against tight ends. So who you like on the Seattle Seahawks?
Well, we'll skip the JSN talk because if you have him, he's playing regardless. You might even play him on your bye week just in hopes that he randomly gets points. But as you mentioned, the Texans defense is so good. There's so few ways to really exploit them. That pass rush is great. The secondary is great. It's about time Kenneth Walker got going a bit. They've kind of neglected in the last few weeks. I think you could see them run the ball with him early. I know they love Charbonnet as well, but he's just not as effective. I mean, 2.5 yards a carry. It's where Kenneth Walker's at about 5. I think they get him going. I wouldn't be true to the brand if we didn't keep the tight end thing going. AJ Bartner leads the team in touchdowns with 4. If you're really desperate at tight end, that could be something because they're going to hyper concentrate on JSN for clear and obvious reasons. He has 20 more catches than the next closest on the team in Cooper Kupp. So I don't love a lot of the other targets. So maybe AJ Bartner just for that off chance he gets you like 12 points because he gets 2 or 3 catches and a touchdown.
On the Houston side, definitely going to play Nico Collins. Although he's not as smash as I thought he was going to be, the Seahawks are getting a little more healthier in the secondary. So not a huge smash start for me, but definitely a receiver 2. Could be up there at 1, though, that's for sure. I think Woody Marks might, make his mark in this particular matchup as well. Seahawks have had a little bit of holes up front. So Woody Marks, I think, could make his mark, if you will, in this particular matchup. I cannot trust Stroud. I mean, that's just I think nobody can really trust him. He's been very up and down. So, he's had some decent games as of late. I just don't know. This Seahawks defense is good and they're at home. And as I mentioned, that secondary is starting to strengthen up a little bit. So, not really big. And so we'll keep the theme going. Maybe Dalton Schultz finds the end zone in this matchup. Seahawks also been notoriously bad against tight ends. So something else that we could throw out there as well. So we're just keeping it. It's tight end you this week. And we just I think Pat Firebooth kind of put us all in a little tight end focus or something like that. All right, before we close out tonight, our boy Angela Duke, Mr. Mallard, is here to give you some sophisticated starts for week 7. Let's check it out.
It's time to bring some sophistication to your fantasy lineups with Mr. Mallard.
Choo choo, I'm Angela Duke, aka Mr. Mallard, and this is Sophistication Station, The Week 7 stop this week brings us 3 new Class C starts for your lineups, and we're going to start with Quinshon Judkins. It's Quinshon Judkins, even though on the Browns, who has a very poor offense, he's going up against the Miami Dolphins, and the Dolphins have been horrendous against the run this year. So Judkins should have lots of opportunity, lots of open space to show us why he was such a touted draft pick, even with the looming suspension issues. And then let's go to Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze is going up against the Saints this week. We just saw Demario Douglas have some open room for some big plays. Keyshawn Boutte had some open room for some big plays against that Saints defense for the Patriots. Douglas has been kind of quiet for the past this year, and he was able to pop off, so I expect Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams to be on the same page and make some magic happen in that game. And then let's go over to been a season-long favorite of mine, Dallas Goedert for the Eagles. With A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith still playing very inconsistent, still unhappy, that Eagles offense, we'll see what's going on there. Dallas Goedert has been the consistent, steady factor in that passing game. I think he continues to find the end zone and continues to be used inside the 20s. I'm Andrew LeDuc, a.k.a. Mr. Mallard, and this has been Sophistication Station. Stay classy, my friends.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Now go win your fantasy matchup with class.
It's funny, the AI guy has a half of a glass, and the other part that's supposed to be here is in his nose. Like, what's wrong?
Look fancy and smell fancy, I guess.
I'm glad that was playing, though, because, of course, Miami was coming down to tie the football game, and Carson Beck just continuing the theme of interceptions tonight. So that'll do it for number 2, Miami. Way to go. Anyway, all right, my friend DJ, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really do appreciate you. Let everyone know where they can follow, subscribe, and see the High Low Sports Podcast.
Absolutely. You can check us out on everything High Low Sports across all social medias. We go live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then you can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, everything else the next day, or your favorite place to listen to podcasts are uploaded right afterwards as well. So go check us out. Go check out some of our latest videos. We do MVP ladders, Heisman hierarchies, different weekly series just to keep it fun and entertaining. So definitely go check it out if you're bored and you have the time. And if you like it when you're there, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. And if you don't, go ahead and hit anyway, and you can undo it later.
I mean, who takes the time to undo something? I mean, come on. Go
if it's that bad and you hate us that bad, I don't blame you. I mean, someone made fun of my head on one of the comments, so go join in and make fun of their head back or agree with them. Either one works.
Oh, man, people are funny. All right, well, don't forget, go check out, of course, DJ, the High Low Sports Podcast, along with Kelsey. A lot of great stuff that they put out there, so make sure you go follow, subscribe. And don't forget, of course, Sunday morning, wake up with us. We got Fantasy Jesus, the Sunday morning cartoon. We're giving you ultimate DFS lineups. We got betting advice from Eric. Lots of good stuff. And, of course, Brian will be in to give you the latest injury news as well. So make sure you wake up with us on Sunday morning. All right, everyone, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for your questions. We'll see you on Sunday morning from me and DJ. We appreciate you, and we are out.